Hello and welcome to all of you watching this video. It has been a while again. And since it is the start of the new year, I thought it would be actually a very good opportunity for me to do a sort of a 2023 year review, because I haven't been much online, to be honest. And also to set some intentions for 2024. It is a very good exercise to do, because I have never really been someone who would like to set intentions and announce big changes in the start of a new year, or somehow expect myself to completely change my life overnight and adopt all these new habits. But this year somehow has felt a little bit different, and it probably has been feeling different because of everything I have been doing in 2023 and all of the lessons that I have been implementing on my own life. I have a lot to cover in this video. I have not been a lot online, so I actually don't really know how many of you are still interested in my journey here in Norway. So if you are, thank you so much for being on the journey with me. And I'm going to try to keep it a little bit structured. So I am going to start with giving you a little bit of a overview of what I have been doing in the last year, because I only think I made one video, maybe was it in March last year, I'm not even sure, and that video actually gave you a glimpse of what the main thing happening at the time was, and that was that finally starting my teacher training in Kundalini yoga. I have been doing yoga for a very long time, but it was actually the last year that I actually finally started with becoming a teacher, and it was a very time-consuming practice. We were meeting up in Oslo every month, so I had to travel to the capital every month, and I had to stay there for 3 or 4 days, and then we also had continually work in between, not only personal practice but also homework and group projects and things to read and things to practice on, like you would expect for any good education would be like. And that education actually took up most of my time in last autumn actually, and then in the springtime all the way into summer. So I did some more training this autumn. I went to Hemsedal in the mountains in Norway, and I did some extra training there, and I'm actually still completing that training, learning as much as I can. Because I'm so happy I can finally do this, and it's so interesting, and the more I learn, the more I realize how little I know, and the more I want to learn. I want to learn about new things, and then I discover more interesting subjects, and I want to learn more about those as well. So I suspect this is going to be a journey that will take many, many more years. I actually never really expect to be completely done studying, and that isn't only about yoga, that's also about other interesting subjects, about, life in general. You're never going to be done learning. So learning was a very big part of my 2023, definitely. It took so much time. So there are reasons that I'm not so visible online. And then education was not the only thing. So we obviously had the house renovation. So we are still building our house. It is the 3rd year now. We started renovating in around the 15th of January in 2021. So it is actually almost 3 years now that we are building this house. And maybe you can see a little bit from my surroundings, but I'm actually sitting in a room that starts to look a lot like a living room, you guys. So it is really exciting. We are coming to a super interesting point in our work. It has been extremely time consuming, especially because we did as much as we could ourselves. And that in addition to pursuing personal interests, trying to have a full-time job and making enough money to pay for all of this. So that means we had to really set priorities. That means that we actually did not really travel in 2023. We also didn't do almost no day trips or you know, just like getting out there a weekend, go hiking, like all the fun things you can actually do here in Norway, explore this beautiful nature. We almost did nothing of that in 2023 because we made this house a big priority. And that is one of the reasons I can now say that we are getting to a point where it actually starts to look and feel like a home. I didn't make any videos about the renovations in 2023. Maybe you have noticed my last video dates back from, it's probably about December last year, 2022, when we started, when we're still living at the camping ground actually, down there at the fjord, when we were starting with all the contractors. The other reason I have not really been showing you anything about the renovations is because in my mind it gave me a lot more peace to just like film everything, because I have filmed everything. I have footage of every single thing we did. It's a lot less stressful for me to actually edit everything on the end. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you from beginning to end every single room in the house. So for example, completely start to finish from our kitchen, from our bathroom, from the living room, all the other rooms in our house. And I have not started making these videos just yet, because the most exciting part, at least for me, is about to start still. And it's actually completely finishing everything off. Like for example, you can see now I'm staying next to the window, but as you can see, you can still see the tape. So we still have no like the, you know, the wooden planks that go around the windows and the window sills. That's like just one small example of things we still have to finish. And then I'm going to touch up some furniture, some old furniture we have, so it actually really fits our rooms. I'm going to paint some stuff still. There's a lot of details to be worked on. We need a lot of shelves that we are still building. We still need a complete staircase, which is going to be a super exciting and difficult project. I still have to finish the floor upstairs. So there's still a lot of things to be done, which are also on our program now in the first half of 2023. And it's probably, realistically, it's probably going to continue a little bit into the summer as well, where we're going to tackle a little bit more stuff on the outside walls of the house. Don't worry, I will show everything. It's going to be super exciting to actually, also for ourselves, you know, to see actually how much we have been doing from start to finish, because we did tackle this house also really structurally. Maybe you've seen it in like the weather right now, that it's really cold throughout the whole of Scandinavia. I think it was like minus 30 in Oslo not so long ago. But because we live on the west coast, we don't have a lot of this extreme coldness. It has been around minus 10 degrees throughout this period here for us, which is not extremely cold. Like 3 years ago, we had a month of minus 20, and that was before we made structural changes to the insulation of the walls. So that was a lot tougher. But actually, because we have so much insulation and we have such good windows, we invested a lot in like a heat convector, so we're heating the whole house with water now, that we don't have to do a lot of effort, and we don't have to use almost any electricity to hold the house a very comfortable temperature. Like I'm sitting in a t-shirt right now and it's like minus 10 outside. Without that, it's not a job for me to keep the house warm, you know. It's so easy, and it doesn't really cost a lot of energy. And I'm really, really grateful that my husband, Koen, that he put so much effort and so much thought into this, because this makes our house so much better now. But so more on the renovations, hopefully will come throughout the year. And then as of work, so what I have been doing. So I am very lucky that I am starting to really structure my life around the seasons. And that has been a really big goal for me from the start, from even before we moved to Norway, because that was one of my biggest struggles, you can say, one of the biggest ways that I didn't feel like everything rolled as smoothly as I wanted to. It was just a complete disregard of like living by the seasons in our lives. Like work days were exactly the same, whether it was winter or summer. There was no like, we were not in sync. And one of my biggest goals for the last 3-4 years has been to actually implement living by the seasons. And I don't only mean this in like an in an emotional way, also actually really in a practical way, in a physical way, and of course also in a spiritual way, like all of these aspects. And let me tell you guys, that is not easy, because our society is almost not made for us to live by the seasons anymore, and we don't have to. You know, we live in these warm, comfortable houses. We have the same food in the supermarkets almost year round. Most jobs don't really take into regard any seasons, you know, so that has been kind of a struggle. But because I have my own company, I started my company now 3 years ago, almost as long ago as we actually moved here. And I have gone through some changes. There are some things I started with that I don't do anymore at all. There are some things that worked, some things that didn't work out, and it has been a really big journey for me. And it still is. It is still very much something that I'm learning, that I'm finding out. And it's a really cool process. It gives you a lot of confidence. Because you are listening to yourself, you are constantly re-evaluating, you are learning new skills. And it has proven to be the biggest tool for me to actually have a regard for the seasons. So in winter time, I have a lot of different activities than I have in summertime. And also during last winter, I was not only doing a lot of education, but I was also doing a lot more creative projects and a lot more art. Sometimes people ask me to make something for them, and then they pay for me making something special for them. I'm also just making my own stuff, which I am then selling throughout the summer, but it goes a lot of preparation time into this. Of course, you have to design it, you have to make it, and you have to decide what size you want to print it, in what form, where you're going to sell it. So there's a lot of it's a big winter time, like this creative process. And it also will be this winter. Again, it will be the second winter that I'm actively having creative projects as in preparation to summertime. And then let's talk about summer itself, because summer is the period in the year where I work the most. I do a lot more hours of work in summer compared to winter. Also in summertime, I am constantly outside, whereas in wintertime, I'm mostly working inside. So in summertime, most of my money is earned by guiding. I am a tourist guide, I am a nature guide, and I work together with, or I'm hired in by several bigger companies here in the area. It like starts slowly in springtime, and then in early summer, like around May and June, like all hell breaks loose. It gets so busy all of a sudden, and it stays really busy until all summer, until it finally starts decreasing around late September, October. So it is a pretty long season, but like I said, it gives me a really nice opportunity to completely structure my life around the seasons. And I have this really nice, creative, relaxing inside work during winter time, and then in summer I go completely on the other hand. I get really social, I can go outside, I can be really forward. I love guiding. Maybe some of you know, but I'm actually per education I am a scientist, and I found my way into guiding. If you have followed my journey, you probably know how. And I absolutely love guiding. I love talking to people, and I love creating this awareness where people are actually seeing and feeling nature and understand how we are part of it, and bringing them in awe about the planet we live on. Let them feel this connection with nature. This is a very shallow explanation, but I actually love bringing awareness, and I love talking to people. It's also one of the reasons that I did my teacher training, for example, you know, because I really, really love guiding. And I have been, this summer especially, has been mountain hikes. So I've been going up the mountain with groups of people. Sometimes I'm guiding a little group alone, and sometimes there are multiple guides for a bigger group. It also really depends on which company I'm working together with, where the tourists come from. But one of the really exciting things about working with tourists and guiding is that one of the most fascinating things is different cultures. And I'm truly fascinated by all the different cultures that you find in the world, because so often it doesn't really depend on how your DNA is or what your ethnicity is. It has more to do about where did you grow up and in what kind of society and family, and cultural background that you grew up in, and that decides so much about your personality. That means that, like, I know you can't generalize, but people from the south of Europe behave sometimes completely different than people from the north of Europe. And it's for me, it's so interesting to have interactions with these kind of different mindsets, and to see how where people grew up and their cultural backgrounds brings so much into their personality. And then sometimes it's so easy to forget that we are not this personality. That's something that you can actually take on. And that makes it so powerful, because if you can take it on, that means that you can take it off as well. And it's so empowering. It is so interesting for me. So that's another reason why I really like to work with so much people. So I have been going a lot on the mountains. And then something really cool is that I have been a lot on the boats as well. And if you know me, then you know that I love the ocean. I am an ocean scientist. I worked with whales in northern Norway. And this summer was the first summer that I was on the water a lot. I have been on the water a little bit the year before as well, when I came back to this part of Norway. But I have been on the water a lot this year. I have been guiding on little boats and telling people about the fjord and the nature, and also a little bit of the culture, of course. And this really inspired me to finally also start learning how to drive a boat. So I'm not going to talk a lot about it here, because it actually deserves a complete video in of itself. Because laws and rules in Norway are very strict. So for me to be able to lawfully drive a boat with passengers on it, which is a really big difference, whether you want to do it privately or with paying customers, you need so many certificates and courses, and it's a really big time investment. It's a really big educational investment, and also a really big money investment, because just you have to collect all of these certificates. I actually have an exam, my last theoretical exam tomorrow, which is obviously the reason that I found time to make a video today. So this is something really exciting happening in 2024. And it's also something that is really far out of my comfort zone. That is one of my, little tricks in life, that you have to keep doing things that are just a little bit out of your comfort zone, that you actually want to do and you're a little bit afraid. And they are really exciting, and it takes you just that little step further, and it expands you a little bit more. So that is just one of those things that I am working on. So that was actually the most part of my summer. A lot of guiding, starting the boat course. And then when we go into autumn, I took one of those business coaching trainings. So that was another very intense 2 months, where we had to work a lot between meetings. It was actually very educational as well, to learn a bit more about everything that goes into going from idea to practicality in a sort of having your own business environment. And then let's see. Yes, of course. In the beginning of summer, I graduated from a really big part of the teacher training. So I actually started teaching yoga at once. So I started teaching yoga as early as June, and I teach yoga all through summer, some outdoors, summer yoga kind of thing. And then I very, very quickly learned how much I enjoy teaching. I never stopped teaching since June this summer. And then from when autumn started, I actually started teaching at some training centers in the area. And then right now, as we go into the new year, January, February, and probably also throughout March, April, I will be teaching at 3 different locations, and I will be doing up to 7 hours of yoga a week that I will be teaching. That doesn't really sound like a lot, but it is a lot, just because there's also a lot of driving involved in Norway. Nothing lies close together, so even a neighboring little village is almost a half an hour drive. So you are spending a lot of time in the car to just drive from and through the training. And then I am actually putting a lot of effort into these classes to just feel what type of year is it, what is happening in the world. I just try to feel what do people need right now, and I adjust my classes and I actually prepare them. That means just to teach 1 hour, it's very easy to spend also 1 hour preparing that class. And then one of my intentions for this going forward now into the new year and then also into the future is trying to make this work time versus income balance, like energy in versus energy out, to manage that a little bit better, because now I am noticing that I spend almost 3 hours or more time to give like 1 hour of class, and I just still get paid 1 hour by the training center, even though sometimes as many as 10 to 20 people show up for class. So I'm still struggling with this a little bit, because at the one side I am so grateful, I'm so happy that there's so much opportunity for teaching yoga here in the area, even though it is so lowly populated. So I'm so grateful for every single one who gives me the opportunity to teach in their school. But at the other hand, to create sustainability into the future, because I actually don't want to spend less time preparing my classes. If something, I want to even spend more time, invest even more time to give a better quality class than I did just now. I want to even do it even better. And then it has to be, for me, I have to reach some point that I get as much energy out of it as I put energy in. And by energy, I also mean actual money. So there's nothing wrong with earning money. You need money to live your life. I keep telling myself, so that's nothing wrong to be paid for your work. And I can't live off, I can't spend my days doing a lot of free work and only getting paid for like a fraction of it. So that's a really big lesson I'm trying to learn and moving forward with. So that is one of my intentions again for 2024. And then coming back to preparing these classes, and it is said that you will teach what you yourself have to learn the most, and that has been proven really true for me. So I am in the preparation of my classes and in seeing what time of year it is, and feeling the energy around and looking what people need. And I notice that I really feel into this year cycle. And again, that was one of my big goals for the last years, to really live with the seasons. And doing yoga and preparing yoga classes has been such a big tool in that, into learning this myself, and to really feel into what is going on in every single day of the year. And then actually implementing this in practices, emotional practices, actually physical things that you are doing. And it has been helping me so much to get more in tune with the whole world surrounding me. So I will just continue this process. There is so much more for me to learn and to discover, and I really hope I can just go on in the same line. And that is probably also the reason why this is the first year that I really feel like setting intentions for the new year, because I have never really done that, like I said in the beginning. And I really feel the energy this year. Between the days leading up to the winter solstice, then I organized a beautiful winter solstice event. We had like a longer, it was 3 or 4 hours was it, that we did a really nice yoga practice, a meditation and a sort of ritual to celebrate the winter solstice. It was beautiful. And then the days leading up to it, the preparement of it, and then also in the gap between the winter solstice and now the new year. And it starts to fade out now. I feel the energy is going away now, but still this period was so good for setting intentions. So I have been thinking a lot about what are my intentions, what is important for me, what do I want? We always come back to this question, what is it that I want? And in the last years I have been doing this, actually since moving to Norway. It is very important for me to re-evaluate every time. So this re-evaluating of, I think I want this, then you start going towards that thing, and then on the way there, I always notice that how you had in mind that you would feel or what it will bring you, it's always different. And it always comes back to, if you think you want something, you have to break it down, and at the bottom of this thing you want, there's actually there's a feeling, or there is like a state of being that you want. And you just cover it up with all these things that you think that it represents. But the reality of it is, if you get to this core thing that you want to implement in your being, is that you can get it through so many different ways. So I've been doing this throughout 2023, and it's also an intention for me to go through it towards the new year and probably further into the future, that I keep a very open mind into what I want, and I try to really break down to what is it actually that I want to experience in its core. How do I want to feel? How do I want, what's the experience how does this align with my insight? And then I'm really open to that this particular state that I wish for myself to move into will come in, or can come in many, many different ways. So that is why I try not to set really specific goals, because it narrows things down so much. This is a really interesting thing for every single one of you watching to think a little bit about. So one of my intentions is not to set very specific intentions, but to really understand myself better. And in a way, that is my intention then. So I could actually talk a lot more about this period around the winter solstice. I really would love to. The time has passed, so I feel like I missed the moment. Maybe I will do one next year, because I'm sure that a lot of the same topics will come up in the next winter solstice. It will take me way out of subject here on this video. It will make the video way too long. But it was a very powerful one this time of year, and I'm very happy that I can actually sit down now and make intentions that are in alignment with my personality and with the way that I want to move forward in life. And this is actually the first time this actually happens, that I can actually sit down and have this conversation with myself. So those are kind of my intentions. Continuing to find my way in being self-employed, continuing in giving yoga classes, putting even more effort into them, living even more by the seasons, getting to know myself, letting myself fail and doubt and fall and stand up again, and just continuing with this interesting process. I'm very happy to get my boat license. I'm very happy to finish this house and really start decorating and following all these creative projects. And also notice that I don't give myself any deadlines. So I'm not telling myself I have to do so many times this in a month, like I have to make one video a month, for example, if I implement this on YouTube. I'm not doing any of that. I will just do the best I can with all the chaos of things that I am doing, because I'm doing so many things at once. I have a really broad interest thing, and I'm also a little bit maybe too ambitious in all the different projects and interests I want to work in. So I'm not setting myself any deadlines. And then also what I already actually started doing a lot more now in 2023, and then my intention is to do a lot more of it now in 2024, is that I somehow finally made the click into my mind that it is possible for me to do enjoyable things and to have fun and do things pure for the enjoyment of doing it, without setting requirements for it. What I mean by this is that before, I would often fall into this trap of, when I have completed this and this and this, when I do this, when I have finished this, when I look like this, when I have completed all of this, then I will feel enjoyment, or then I will be able to go out and do this and enjoy this. So I have really started moving away from this mindset, and just regardless of what I have accomplished in that day, that week, that month, that year, regardless of how I feel within myself, regardless of the pressure I'm putting on myself, the pressure someone else is putting on me, whatever it is, I am allowed to do things that I enjoy. And so I really want to do more of these things that bring so much joy to my heart. And I'm going to give one example. One of my absolute favorite things in the whole world, it is summer swimming in Norway. Like, there's a lot to say about winter swimming and winter bathing, But summer swimming, like when it's and those days, the beautiful summer days we actually get here on the west coast of Norway, when it's actually warm enough outside to swim, to go into the fjord, to go into the rivers, to go into the ocean, and actually be able to be in the water for more than a few seconds, like it is in winter time, and to actually enjoy the water, enjoy the salt water, and enjoy the streaming water. It is one of my biggest things that light up my heart. I love being in the ocean and in the water, and it brings me so much joy. So this is just one example of things I want to do even more of. And regardless of what I have accomplished or however I feel like I deserve it, I am allowed to do things for my own enjoyment and that light up my heart. So that is one of my biggest intentions going into 2024. And then I also quickly want to cover some things that I have struggled with throughout the last year, and how I want to move forward with these struggles in the next year. And there's actually two things. One thing I have struggled a lot with, that is social media. And I actually will consider YouTube a part of this. I feel such a disalignment with social media. I don't like this fast-paced content. It has to be as short and as stimulating as possible, all the content that you put out and that you see of other people. And then it is so much input. I don't feel like the human being, at least I am not made to consume so much stimulation through content from social media. I am a lover of deep and slow and long content. I like long, deep texts. I like to make long poetic videos. I like to make slow arts. And it feels like all of these things don't really fit into how social media functions and what I feel that is expected of people engaging on these platforms. It's a bit of a struggle for me, really, because all of the things that I do, all of the things that I drive with, so whether it's my art or my yoga, I am running my own company. I'm still learning how to create a company that's also sustainable into the future. It is not possible if people don't know that I exist. You can't sell art if nobody knows what you are doing. You can't teach yoga if nobody knows that you are a teacher. So you have to put yourself out there, and you have to reach people, and you have to find people who make a click with you and find an alignment with you, and then you can have an energy exchange with each other. I want to know how to use these, how to be included in this online world, and how to find my way into there. It really feels like a struggle for me. When you open your phone, it is so much to compare yourself to. There's so much offer of products, and I'm not saying that all of it is bad. There are so much good products, and there's so much really interesting, nice people that inspire you. There's so much good things online. It is just so much, and it is not easy to not compare yourself with people, because of course the most part of things that you see are really successful people, because that is the ones that will come forward the most. And then you really have to find for people who are on the same level as you are, which are a lot more difficult to find. So I'm still not sure how I will manage this struggle I have with social media and with making content in general. Yes, I don't know yet, so that is one of my biggest struggles. The other thing that I struggle a little bit with, I will say I refound, because I have struggled with this like years and years ago, but I refound this deep sadness for the world that we live in. There are certain aspects about how our society functions, what we do to our planet, the way that we live, that are so sad. Of course, there are horrible things happening in our world at the minute, horrible things done to societies, horrible things done to people. But for me, I feel the deepest pain when it comes to what we do to our nature, to our planet, to our environment. Like at this moment, the Norwegian government is deciding whether or not they are going to do deep sea mining, which will absolutely destroy or endanger the fragile ecosystem we have in the Arctic. if you look at it from afar, the whole of the human species on Earth is really doing a bad job with conserving, having respect for our nature. And we create such a disconnect with nature, and we forget that we are part of it. And at the same time, I see the duality of it, because people are trying. You can only, at certain points, you can only work with what is offered to you. So I see the duality of it. I know that people have to realize things and do their best. But on the other side, I also see how difficult it is, because we are all so busy. We are all so overwhelmed. There's expected of us so much. And in addition, we have to save the world by ourselves. It's a very hard reality. But I feel so sad when I see what is happening to our natural world. And what practices that are now seen as tradition and things to keep, because it is tradition, and because it comes back from so many hundreds and hundreds of years, and how humanity has evolved. But we have to also deal with the world today, and how are we living today? What is the reality of the world today? And then you can see that it's not sustainable. I think maybe my biggest struggle now that I try to talk about is not that I want to do more than just sit and think about it. I actually want to speak up and do something. I think my biggest struggle is bringing it to words in a way that engages people and does not trigger or makes people feel attacked. Because it is a very sensitive subject. It's like a really pressing feeling lying here in my chest. And I can't say anything, and I just have to keep the peace and smile and respect everyone's opinion and everyone's lifestyle, and I just have to keep and hold everything for myself. And I'm really struggling with it right now. All these discussions you can have about certain lifestyles, you can never just change someone's mind by telling them you are wrong. That's not how it works. The only thing I can do is doing my best, being in alignment with my own health, with the planet's health, finding out and learning more and more how I can do it better, and being more in my true self, and thus maybe just maybe inspiring one or two more people. And this is the path to go. This is how it goes. But those are the two things I struggle a little bit with. I'm still not sure how it's going to evolve in the next year. But my intention is to work with it, be vulnerable. Let's see where it brings me. And then I'm going to end the video in a little bit of a better note. So you all know we have two cats, Ronnie and Marie, and now we adopted a third one. Her name is Mia. She's 4 months old, and she has been making noise the whole video. So I just want to introduce you to her if I can find her. Let's see. Look how cute she is. She's the best addition to our little family. So I'm going to finally end the very long video here. Thank you so much for listening. It has been a really good exercise for myself to overview the last year and setting my intentions for the coming year. I wish you all the very best for the coming year, and I hope you are as kind and as compassionate and as vulnerable with yourself as I plan to be with myself. Have a really nice day. Goodbye.